Now welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. As you guys can see down there, there are the topics. We have only 5 topics today. We're not going to be long. So let's get into those topics. First of all, we are going to get into the number one topic of the day or of the weekend, and that being Mr. Blackburn from Colorado State. As you guys may have seen the game on Saturday against Colorado, Henry Blackburn of the Colorado State Rams hit Travis Hunter in a dirty hit. If you don't know who he looks like, here he is right here. That is Henry Blackburn. He put a pretty big hit on Travis Hunter. And my problem, ladies and gentlemen, with the hit is basically this. You have time. I play defense. I know what it's like. I've never been a DB. Of course, I've played DB, backyard, stuff like that, but I've never played DB in an actual game. I have played defensive end. I understand what it's like to pull back. I understand what it's like to have a dirty hit. I've never put a dirty hit on anybody. I don't think I've ever been called for a personal foul. But you know as a defender when to hold up. You know, basically when you're going to a game, ladies and gentlemen, you understand who you need to take out of the game. Everybody goes into a football game and knows who they need to take out of a football game. Everybody knows who the star is. Everybody knows who that key is. You can see it pregame. You can see it during warm-ups. You know who that person is. And if you have a scouting department who understands who that key person is, then you know who you need to take out before the game. And I think it was coordinated. I think it was coordinated by Colorado State to take out Travis Hunter before the game. You can't tell me any different. Because, again, I know the game. I know football. I study football. I've been a football player. A lot of you all out there on your couches, you've never played the game of football, so how can you really understand? I mean all the offense in the world, because a lot of you out there said, oh, it's not a big deal. And, you know, it is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. It's a huge deal. I commend Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, for coming out today and saying that the depth threats and everything are ridiculous, because that's what they are. They are ridiculous. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. If this was the reversal, if this was Henry Blackburn as a wide receiver and Travis Hunter as defender, and he had done that, not only the outrage, not only would we have had suspensions, not only probably we've been thrown out the game, he probably would have been playing the first half of this week against Oregon. Let's be very clear about that. And I feel very comfortable in saying this. I don't have the facts. I don't have this fact. I didn't see anybody's living room. But I'm sure there are some coaches around the country who really liked what they saw from Henry Blackburn, especially with the display that Colorado put on before the game. You had hip-hop stars. You had pop stars. You had culture icons. You had all of the razzle-dazzle. Coaches don't like that. Football coaches around the country don't like that because, you know, you haven't seen anything like that since USC. Really, USC didn't get a lot of pushback on that, but of course Colorado will because of who their coach is and because of the situation. So I'm going to show you guys right now what happened on Saturday night. I'm going to show it to you twice, and you tell me whether or not this was a clean hit or not.
Coordinator, moment ago, downfield, incomplete, but a flag down intended for Hunter, who took a shot afterwards. By coordinator, moment ago, downfield, incomplete, but a flag down intended for Hunter, who took a shot afterwards by Henry Blackburn.
One more time.
Coordinator, moment ago, downfield, incomplete, but a flag down intended for Hunter, who took a shot afterwards by Henry Blackburn.
So he had at least 2 to 3 seconds to pull up. Now, if the ball had been in reach for Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter would have been able to catch the football, if he had caught the ball, or let's say Travis Hunter was making a football move to go off for the ball, I can understand him getting hit. You wouldn't find me saying anything, because anybody knows me knows I am a defensive guy. I love defense. I love seeing people get hit. I love seeing the big collisions. And if you get hurt, that's all a part of the football. But when you make a move like that, you're telling me 2 things. Number one, you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody. And number 2, you are telling me that you want this guy out of the game because basically you can't handle him. You know that he's going to be a problem for you going down the stretch. Now, mind you, Colorado still beat them. Colorado still, I'm not saying destroyed them, but they beat them 43-35. Shedeur Sanders came back. He threw for, well over 300 yards, etc. Had a plethora of touchdowns. So the plan really didn't work. Now, I think this ultimately helps Colorado, not the injury. You never want to see them make it injured, but I think what this does is that you have a guy like Travis Hunter, who's coming back in 3 weeks. If Colorado comes out and they handle their business on the football field and you get a Heisman-like player back on the field, Colorado will be on the top echelon of teams in college football. You go out and you beat Oregon, you beat USC, and you got a game, I believe, against Arizona State. You're looking at a top 10 football team and a team that'll get a Heisman player back. So the Henry Blackburn should have been suspended. He should have been thrown out the game because it was a targeted hit. But of course, we know it's not. People say, is it along racial lines? I don't think so. But I do think that, again, if the roles had been reversed, Henry Blackburn, the roles were reversed, and you had a guy like Travis Hunter who hit Henry Blackburn. If Henry Blackburn was the receiver, oh my gosh, he would have been thrown out. I think the commentators went on them a little bit, but I don't think they went hard enough. I think the commentators would have went a little bit hard, even if the situation had reversed. Not saying anything towards Louis Riddick or Mark Jones, because they know they still work at ESPN. They know that ESPN ain't perfect. They know ESPN is a little phony at times, which they are. They always say this and that, but they never really mean what they say. Love ESPN for a long time, but a lot of their things are a little bit underhanded. So yeah, sometimes these guys have to watch what they say on air because you gotta watch what they say on air. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's go to our second topic, ladies and gentlemen, of the day. And I've really been waiting for this one. I want to talk about this. This is something that I feel that a lot of people aren't really talking about. If I can give me 1 second, I gotta add this on. Sorry for that. I had to add something on, and for some reason my iPad is not doing what it's supposed to do, but it's okay. The thing is that we have a team right here in the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders have been playing good football pretty much the entire season so far. Let me see if I can add this for you guys. Give me 1 second, folks. This thing is not wanting to add this for me. Sorry about that. I have to add this graphic on for you guys. But what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, is we have a team in the Washington Commanders who are led by Ron Rivera and, most importantly, Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy has brought the Commanders to a point where they're averaging 25.5 points per game. The Commanders have been playing really good football. The Commanders, Sam Howell, see, this is the point of football that really pisses me off. And I'm just got to be honest, guys. I'm just, being very frank. Because, see, this is the problem with football these days. This is the problem with sports media. People out here calling you a hater because you're giving just a good analysis of what Sam Howell is. Did I ever say Sam Howell was trash? Did I ever say that he was never good? No. I said he was a 5th-round pick. I said that I don't think that this is going to be the lasting quarterback for the Commanders. Do I think that long-term he'll be a great backup? Do I think long-term he'll be a decent starter? Do I think he'll be a Hall of Famer? No. But I do think that with the marriage with Eric Bieniemy, it is very important for Sam Howell's career. I believe if Eric Bieniemy did not walk through that door, Sam Howell would not be having the success that he has. Now, the Denver Broncos can't be giving up 21-3 leads. That's just the bottom line. They cannot be giving up 21-3 leads. But, you can look for the Arizona game. Arizona played really well week 1. They played well week 2 before they gave the lead to the Giants. They gave up what? Almost 31 points unanswered. I think it was 20-7. Then they scored another 28 points. They scored 28 points, and the Giants came back. The Washington Commanders are doing really good things right now with their schemes. I'm loving what Eric Bieniemy is doing with this team. I'm loving what Eric Bieniemy is doing as far as the confidence. Now, when you have a team like Washington who has the talent, the abundance of talent they have, to me, there's no reason why this team should not be 2-0. Now, you go into this week, they're going against Buffalo. If they beat Buffalo, if they beat the Buffalo Bills and Sam Howell has a really good game, then that's when you have to start taking not only Washington even more seriously, but you have to start saying, hey, this guy Eric Bieniemy is a head coach. And I predicted this, folks, before the season. And this is one thing that I'm going to stick to. If Eric Bieniemy gets this team to a top 10, top 15 offense in the NFL, I believe he will be a head coach next season. That's just how I feel about things. And I look at some teams right now. Like, for example, you can talk all you want to about Kellen Moore in Los Angeles. I believe, because if you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, right? If you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, they have not won a playoff game on the Steelers. They won a playoff game under the last coach who was fired. But I believe a team like the Los Angeles Chargers, a team like the LA Raiders, an abundance of teams out there could benefit. And then, even though I think the Raiders will be pretty decent this year, so they might not need Bieniemy next year, I think that there are teams who could use the services of Eric Bieniemy to come in and really revamp their offense, really play to their quarterback the right way. So, when I look at Eric Bieniemy, when I look at so many things going on with this team, there are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about Eric Bieniemy. There are a lot of people who did not like Eric Bieniemy coming into the season. And that's what I try to tell people a lot of times. A lot of people say that I play the race card. No, I don't. I keep it honest with you guys. Sometimes race does matter. But you know what? Here's the bigger problem. And this is just as humans. A lot of times in this world, humans, period, are just purely stupid. I will give you an example of that right here, right now.
But when I asked about Eric Bieniemy, what makes him good? When we watch the film or practices and we correct the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, he doesn't talk in there. Andy Reid talks in there. He may say things to the running back because he's an ex-running back coach. I get that. But he has no real responsibility. Now you go from the Chiefs, where you can hide behind Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Hey, then you go to the Washington, where you got to call plays. You got to run the meetings. You got to run the installs. And the last issue I have with him is, what makes Andy Reid so great, not the play calls, which we see that, which, I mean, that's one of it. But the other thing is, like, adapting to the players. With Bieniemy, my first practice, I couldn't believe it. He dog coaching, he dog cussing the players. I'm like.
So, Sean McCoy, let me ask you something. You're down 21-3. 21-3. And somehow, some way, that team scores 35 points. He can't galvanize an offense. He can't make players understand him. Sean McCoy, if I were you, I'd go back and I'd kind of, get off my hot takes and I kind of send Eric Bieniemy an apology. I know it's a long season, folks, but through 2 games, the Washington Commanders are 2-0. They've been impressive. And again, if they go to Buffalo and they win, we got to start taking the Commanders seriously. I take them serious now. If they go and beat Buffalo, and if Sam Howell is impressive, again, folks, I'm a journalist. I'm a media member. Sam Howell win the 5th round. I wasn't a big believer. Do I still think long-term he will be the answer for Washington? No, I don't. But do I think that he'll still be serviceable in the NFL? Yes, I do. Do I think that when Eric Bieniemy, if he continues to make this team strive, if he doesn't get the job in Washington, he's going to go elsewhere, and that will hurt Sam Howell. That will hurt this offense. This team looks different, folks. This team looks different. But let me say this. This defense is going to continue to play well. If Jack Del Rio gets a head coaching job before Eric Bieniemy, all right, let's move on to the next topic because before I lose it, because trust me, I've been thinking about that one lately. I've been thinking about that one a whole lot lately. All right, let's get to the summer WNBA, folks. All right, tonight we have the Washington Mystics against the New York Liberty, and we have the Atlanta Dream against the Dallas Wings. Two teams, the Liberty and the Wings, who are looking to get rid of these series tonight. They're looking to get a little bit of rest. If you look at both of these teams all season long, we're going to look at Dallas. We're going to look at Atlanta. So far this season, the Wings have defeated the Atlanta Dream 4 times. 94-82, which is the last playoff game, 94-77, 85-73, and 85-78. Basically, the Dallas Wings have dominated this series the entire season. The Atlanta Dream barely got into the playoffs. They're a pretty decent team, but when you look at all the firepower that Dallas has, I think Dallas wins this game, and I think they easily move on to the next round. Now, here's the game right here that I think is going to be the most intriguing tonight. When you talk about Washington, when you talk about the New York Liberty. The thing about the Liberty, folks, is when you talk about Sabrina, when you talk about Breanna Stewart, when you talk about these players, the firepower that they have in New York, and then you look at the Liberty. I'm sorry, look at the Mystics. The Mystics have lost a lot. I know Tolliver's hurt. Della Dawn is now 34, almost 35. She's been injured. She's always suffering with injuries. She has, some health issues, et cetera, et cetera. But the most important thing is she's a champion. And when you look at this head-to-head, and I have the head-to-head here going into for this season, and let me make sure I pull that up the correct way. Let me make sure I have that. If you look at this season, and this season alone, the Mystics won the first game 80-64. Liberty won 98-88 the second game. Liberty won the third game 98-87. The Mystics won the next game 90-88. And then the playoff game, you have the Liberty who won 90-75. And here's the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the sad, scary part if you're the Mystics, right? Breanna Stewart had 10 points the last game. Breanna Stewart had 10 points the last game. So what that basically means, folks, is this. The Mystics have to come out with like their hair is on fire. And this format is a little funky too, because you think about it, this is not even really I believe this is what, a best of three. This is a best of three series, I believe. Yeah, it's like a best of three series. So basically, whoever wins the second game, you pretty much won the series. So all you got to do in this WNBA playoffs in this first round is win 2 games. So here's the funky part about it, right? If you're the Mystics, you got to come out, Della Dawn. You got to have the game of your life. You got to extend this series. You got to get this thing back to Washington, because if they can get it back to Washington, anything can happen. If the Mystics can get this back to Washington, anything can happen. But just like Dallas, I think Dallas is going to move on. I think that New York is going to move on, because if Washington wins, the game 3 goes back to Washington, and you have to win. And at that point, all the pressure goes to New York, because you brought in the big free agents. You have all the star power. You're playing the Barclays Center tonight. You're representing New York right now, who hasn't won a championship in so long, that you are representing New York. So can you bring the championship to New York City? We shall see. But for right now, I think the New York Liberty have this game. I think they win. And I think the Mystics, they go into the offseason with a lot of questions, a whole lot of questions. Are you going to trade Della Dawn? Are you going to make this trade? Are you going to make that trade? What moves are you going to make to try to get younger and better in Washington? So just a lot of questions right now, folks, when it comes to the WNBA, and especially the Washington Mystics, who own a championship, but since that championship have not been that great as of late. Now, we're going to go to Major League Baseball. We're just going to talk quickly about the races, and some great races right now in Major League Baseball. You have the top 3 wild cards, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Arizona Diamondbacks, you have Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are pretty much tied with the Cincinnati Reds. It's pretty much no separation. The Cubs are 78-72, and the Reds are 79-73. The Reds are 6-4 in their last 10 games, and the Cubs are 2-8 in their last 10. 5 straight losses for the Chicago Cubs. The Miami Marlins, who just basically won their series against the Atlanta Braves, they're 78-73. They've won 5 out of 5. They've won 5 out of the last 10 games. They've lost 1 in a row. The Giants are still 2 in the games back. You can never count the Giants out. Padres are 5.5 back. I don't think that they're going to make that leap, even though they're the Padres. They've won 7 out of 10, and they could get hot at any time. I think that's a little bit too late for them. So we'll see how that goes. 2 great organizations with the Cubs and Reds, so I hope one of those teams get in. And the Marlins, the Marlins are still a young baseball team, so they have plenty of time to get in. But even if they get in, I think it'll still be exciting. All 3 of those teams are very exciting young teams for baseball. You look at the wild cards in the AL, the Rays, Blue Jays, and Mariners. Right now, the Mariners and Texas Rangers are tied, but the Mariners hold that tiebreaker. Next, you have the Yankees and then the Red Sox. So when you look at Major League Baseball right now in the NL, you have a better chance of having that more dramatic race when it comes down the stretch. But for right now, I think Seattle is going to and that's tough for Texas because they've had some injuries this year. You would hope that Texas can, and the thing is that Seattle is still a game behind the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rays are way up. They're like 9.5 games up. So there's still a good chance that we could get the Texas Rangers and Seattle Mariners in the playoffs. But it's also good to see Vlad Guerrero Jr. with the Toronto Blue Jays in the playoffs as well. So we'll see how things go down the stretch for Major League Baseball. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my top 5 teams in the NFL. This will be our last topic of the day. Before we do that, we are going to, let me see if I can find this information so I can get this on here real quick for you guys. I don't know if I can get it, but let me see if I can get it. Hold on one quick second. Let's see. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about this. I'm trying to add this on because for some reason it's not working correctly. Yeah, but I'm getting ready to give you guys my top 5 NFL teams. Let me know in the comments who do you think the top 5 NFL teams are right now. Again, let me know who your top 5 NFL teams are right now. Okay, let me see. Let's go here. Let's see. All right. So we're gonna go 5-1. Let's go number 5. My number 5 team so far in the, let me see. Did I add those teams on? I don't think I even added them on. See, trying to add these teams on. I don't think I added them on. It didn't add on. Let me see. I'm probably gonna have to do it like this, folks, because it just did not add on. Let me see. I got the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I didn't add the last team on. Let's see here. Let's add these guys on. There we go. All right. So we're going to go 5-1, who I think are the best teams so far in the National Football League. Let's go to number 5. At number 5, we have the Washington Commanders. Why do I say the Washington Commanders? They're 2-0. They're playing really good offense. Chase Young has been doing his thing. I'm a big, huge fan of Chase Young. I like everything that he does on the field, and I believe that when Chase Young is healthy, that this football team is just that much better. So I'm going to go number 5 with the Washington Commanders. At number 4, I'm going to go to Baltimore Ravens. Why the Ravens? They've got Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's been doing his thing the entire season. For these 2 games, I know Odell is hurt already, which is the unfortunate thing. However, let me do say that I think that the Ravens are going to get healthy. They already beat the Bengals. They beat a really tough Texans team. Not a great Texans team, but a feisty Texans team. So I'll give that to them at number 4. At number 3, of course, the representatives of the NFC last year, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they're going to continue to get healthy. Jalen Hurts is going to continue to play good football. They're going to continue to run the football. And I think their defense will get stronger as the season goes on. Number 2, not a surprise here, Dallas Cowboys, 70-10. They've been playing really good football. They're averaging 5 points per game. They're playing really good football. So you got to give Dallas Cowboys their credit. However, at number 1, there is no mistaking it. And when I believe it's October the 8th comes, that's when Dallas heads to San Francisco. Until Dallas can put the hammer down on San Francisco to me is the best team in the NFL. It's going to determine a lot of things because you have San Francisco against Dallas. You have Dallas against Philly. You have Dallas against Philadelphia. You have San Francisco against Philadelphia. So all those teams are going to intertwine. All those teams are going to try to prove to us why they are the best team in football, basically. They're going to try to show us why they are the best team. And for me, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the 49ers are the best team in the NFL right now. So let me recap to one of the viewers that just came in. Thank you for everyone who showed up today. Usually I go at nighttime, but I went today in the daytime. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. So quite honestly, there's no excuse for anybody to not come and join the show. Basically, I mean, it's 4:30 in the afternoon, almost 5 o'clock. If you're not joining, then at this point you're just making excuses to why you're not supporting my show. But anyway, let's go back to 5-1 for my top 5 teams. Number 5, I had the Washington Commanders. At number 3, I had the Baltimore Ravens. At number 3, I had the Philadelphia Eagles. At number 2, I had the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, number 1, I had the San Francisco 49ers, who I think are the best team right now in football. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back with you guys tomorrow around this time. I would say again at 4:30. No, I'm going to go tomorrow at 4 because we're going to go a little early tomorrow. I'm trying to work out the kinks and doing some of my coverage on Monday nights. I have to make sure my schedule is consistent so I'm able to bring you guys the night shows so we can talk about some of the football games, Monday Night Football games, Monday Night Raw, things like that. I'm working on some new intros. I'm working on some new material to bring you guys. So just stay patient. I'll bring back the night shows at 11:30 on Mondays and Monday nights, and we'll have the day shows Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully, if nothing changes. But I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4:30 for episode 25 of the Rob Johnson Sports Show. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and for those who didn't, hopefully you get the replay.